Matt Bloomfield said in his post-match interviews after Plymouth, we need to be more clinical in front of goal. L says, well, it would help if our players would actually take shots instead of constantly trying to pass it into the goal or do pointless crosses. Tell them to take more risks rather than going for the XG shot. Welcome back to 20 minutes of Luton chat. We are digesting the most incredible game against Plymouth. They're down to 10 men. The manager has been sent off. You've had 2 penalties. The ref is on your side. And you still can't beat Plymouth. We've got Kevin, Mark and Lewis to digest just why are Luton trying to score the most perfect goal. We're not Arsenal, you know. We're also digesting all the calls for Gary Sweet to go. They're growing in number. And is that fair? Let's jump straight into it, shall we? Lewis, why are Luton trying to score the perfect goal?
It's a question which I'm trying to find the answer for a very, very long time. It just feels like we are just trying to score the perfect goal. I think against Preston, against Plymouth on the weekend, we just lacked different attacking variations. So we were just doing the same thing every time. So we were trying to get the ball out wide and just whipping the ball into the box when we could have tried other things like running at the defenders and trying to cut in and have a shot, or when space opens up outside the area to have a go. I'm struggling to figure out why we don't shoot more often, because a deflection, anything can happen. It could fall to the right player in a certain area in the box, which could be a tap in. It could deflect into being an own goal. It could deflect into being a set play. So I don't understand why we don't do it more. I don't think that's a tactical reason why we're not doing it. I think players either lack the confidence or they just feel like the pass is just a better option. They don't believe in themselves. Like I keep saying on these podcasts, it's more of a mentality thing. I don't think it's a tactical reason. I just think we've just not got right confidence to do certain things properly. And I feel like it's going to take a game for that to hopefully generate some confidence. I'm not too sure, but yeah, it does feel like we are trying to score the perfect goal.
Okay. Well, Mark, thanks, Lewis. Where does the blame sit for that Plymouth result? I've seen people blaming Matt. I've seen people blaming Gary Sweet. I've seen people blaming the defence, the system, the setup. Tell me straight, where does the blame lie for Plymouth walking out with 3 points, which they didn't deserve?
Basically, Josh Keeley didn't have a save to make. People having a go at Matt, but the second goal, a minute from half time, and Zach Nelson sort of like tries to pass it out. They score from that. The third goal,
it's a classic, great goal. That,
we don't know whether it was a corner or not, but even when it was given, then there just seems to be a lack of composure. John Clark tries to clear it, hits their player, and goes in. So those 2 goals, one other thing is we are just absolutely rubbish at playing against 10 men. You can go back in time and every time, and I suppose you've got to give Plymouth some credit, because the minute they went down to 10 men, they put 2 banks of 4, they get men behind the ball, they leave somebody up front, and then they put 2 men on Shaden Morris, who came on to play wide. And tactically, they played the perfect game. And when we struggle when teams sit deep, because we can't get behind them, and then we're just forced to put balls in the box, and then they just headed them out. If I could appeal a red card, I would have done, and because we stood more chance of winning if they had 11 players on the pitch than when it went down to 10. But I think we lost the game in both boxes. We weren't. I saw something that we had 48 touches in the opposition box, more than anybody else in the Championship all weekend. So it's basically like both boxes where we've let ourselves down, and that's just my thoughts really.
Cheers for that, Mark. Let's bring in Dan as well. Dan,
hello.
You were there. What was your take on the game?
Pretty much what Mark and Lewis have said already, really. We seem to create a lot of chances, look fairly dangerous going forwards, but for some reason we're not shooting. And then when we do shoot, like Millie Ali's managed to knock both their floodlights out in the corners. somehow. And we're just making stupid errors at the back. Like, really, really stupid errors. I don't know what the plan is apart from pass it out from the back and hope for the best. And like Mark said, Keeley didn't have a mistake to make and completely at fault for at least, well, it's definitely the third one. Definitely the third one. I'm trying to remember just bad decision making at the back as well. Like the first goal could have been easily avoided. You know, the ball gets picked off the defender and the guy crosses it in, and the bloke at the back post has got a nice free header for him. He's got the freedom of Luton to head that home because people aren't watching where the man's going. It's just really naive, and it's frustrating.
Okay. Cheers, Dan. Still to come, we are going to review the transfer window and just ask these guys to give it a grade. Let us know your thoughts on that. And we're also asking it club versus country as well. Would you rather see Luton promoted or England win the World Cup? Kevin, that does not apply to you, that question. We'll come to you next, though, Kevin. Let's review the negative Nellies that we've gone through. Kieran here says, when will Bloomfield get it through his thick skull that 5 at the back does not work? Figure it out or get a taxi back to Wickham. Blanked out the final 2 words there, as you can see. Kevin, yeah, he's getting a few criticisms. After every loss, a manager's going to get some criticism. That's part of football now. There's not too many head losses for fans calling him to go, but this 5 at the back comes up again and again and again. He's not going to change, is he?
I don't think he's going to change, and I think the 3 gentlemen with me have summed it up quite correctly, and I think we've at least had 50 hours to digest the game. I believe if you had called us 48 hours ago, our reactions would have been very, very different. You get emotional, you get reactional, you get frustrated, and then you think back at the game and think, was it all that bad, or were there a lot of positives? Now, where I do differ with most of the guys on social media and even Yays, we are taking shots. There were 22 shots again on Saturday. In 180 hours of football, taking into account Cardiff's game as well, 44 shots, 15 on target. And Mark was 100% correct, 48 touches in the box. But to get 44 shots in 180 minutes and between that getting 0 goals in open play, I'm not too sure whether the 5 at the back is our biggest problem, or is it actually converting those chances that we're getting? I don't think any other team in any of the other leagues has had 44 shots in 180 minutes, to be honest with you.
Does Joey Yates need to do more, Kevin?
Definitely. We were at one point we were 2-2. He got a great cross in, should have stuck it away or at least put it on target, and he missed it. He's been the one disappointing player this year. We brought him in at quite a high price, I believe, to score those goals. Someone that we're missing because Eli's missing, and he has not looked good. And he's not getting into good positions either. That was the one time he did get into good positions. But like Lewis and Mark said, they're getting the crosses in, and that was obviously the tactics, using our pace down the 2 wings. Getting the crosses in, there were some spectacular crosses, but no one there. And we took off our tallest attacker at halftime, so no one could even get their head to the ball. So did the tactics work? I don't believe, to answer your question, it's a problem about a back 5. Maybe he should have adjusted in with 30 minutes to go when we were 1 player up and get another attacking player up there and play 4 at the back, possibly. But we must also realize that Bloomfield is still a young manager. He's going to make mistakes. We don't have Ferguson there. We don't have Mourinho there. He's going to make mistakes like the players. And I know that's frustrating to hear from me as well, but it is going to happen.
Let's look at some other criticisms that have come in for some players. Mark, see if you agree with this one, please. Kev says, you look at Tolesh today, who was on the market this summer. You look at Pepple, who came on. Which idiot decided Nordas would be our main man? I've seen some dross in my time, but multi-millions for someone who has no clue has to be up there for bad purchase decisions. What do you think to that one, Mark?
I always respect people's opinions, but has he been watching the last 3 or 4 games where Nordas has basically been putting himself up there? He's basically been our best striker, and he went. I presume he went off because of the challenge that won us our first penalty. So there would be no other reason to take him off at at half time, but personally, I think Nordas was starting to see he's starting to get the benefit of playing regular football, and he's not getting the goals, but he's basically having an influence on the game. He's creating chances. So with all due respect, I don't see where the criticism's coming from on Nordas. Basically, he's basically like is my opinion and I see every game, every minute. He's our standout striker ever since he came on for the second half against, can't remember who now. Then he played against Cardiff. He played well at Burton. Played against Barnet. So he's the first striker on the team sheet for me.
Lewis, do you agree?
With Mark or with Kev?
With Kev or with Mark? Yeah.
I agree more with Mark because, like we said off camera, I think it's best if I keep my mouth quiet about that post, especially if I want a career in football. But yeah, it's hard to really dissect what that post said. For me, Nordos has been one of our better attackers, as Mark suggested. Bloomfield did confirm after the game, I don't know if Mark saw it, that it was actually due to tactical reasons he came off. And that's what makes the decision even more mind-blowing, because although I like Bloomfield, I don't think he does himself any favours. I think there's a lot of times now since he's been the manager where in-game substitutions, in-game tactical decisions, not quite from the start, but more during the game when things happen, when whether it's a red card or we go 1-0 down or whatever it is, we keep getting that bit wrong far too often. And normally that's kind of your plan B as a manager. If you set up incorrectly, your substitutions get you out of trouble. Whereas it's kind of like working as the opposite for Bloomfield at the moment. And it kind of needs to balance itself out quickly, because if this continues, the pressure is just going to keep doubling up. And I don't think fans are going to be patient this year. The relegations, it's caused fans not to be patient anymore. And as I believe we're in a league where we believe we're not a League One club, we believe we're a Championship club, the patience is very, very thin. So he kind of has to get it right. I know he's young, and I know he's still quite inexperienced as a boss, despite being at 3 clubs. He's got to get it right soon.
Dan, this was pointed out by a couple of fans as well. Robson Reardon says, please have a word. Saville telling fans to F off at the end of the match and having to be dragged away really isn't a good look. I don't know if you saw that or you've heard about that, but no. we don't want those kind of scenes, do we?
No, of course we don't. We had it a few years ago in the conference. Somebody threw a match programme at Ronnie Henry, who was our captain at the time, in a bit of disgust, and got invited into a training session for his troubles, and the season sort of started to turn around then, because the manager sort of took control of the situation and managed to get the fans back on side. I don't personally think Bloomfield's got the personality to do that. I just don't. There's something about him doesn't strike me as the type of guy who can get a situation and turn it into a positive. I heard a lot of things from where I was sat. I was nowhere near the tunnel, which I'm presuming this is where it was. But yeah, footballers shouldn't really react to that sort of thing. I saw a few of them visibly like annoyed and upset. I saw Jordan Clark was particularly like rumbled at losing the game. He looked really, really frustrated, and you know, having to face the fans afterwards, it can't be easy for them. You can see they care, but I think you've got to be thick-skinned as a footballer and just ignore the noise coming from the fans. Like Lewis said, the patience is wearing thin. There was a lot of impatient people around me at full time on Saturday, and you know, it's going to get worse if we keep making stupid mistakes like we did on Saturday, and that we have been in certain games all season. It's just got to improve, and it's got to improve fast, or there's really not going to be a happy person in the home end at Kenilworth Road the foreseeable.
Finally, then, on the blame game, Kevin, so we talk about Gary Sweet, and of course there's always these kind of things that come up. Dave says, what's become of us? Mr. Sweet in 2020, you may have saved us in our darkest hour, but this is now unacceptable. Please take accountability for all that has gone on. The rot is now well and truly set in. It's a total debacle of a club on the pitch and off it. Up the Hatters is a bit more straightforward, who says, how is Gary still employed? Anyone still think a promotion is on the cards? Happy clappers, that one was for you. Sweet out. Where do you sit on all of that, Kevin?
I don't know how Sweet could have stopped the third goal. I don't know how he could have stopped the second goal. Once again, and I don't like criticizing, but someone got into debate with me after the game as well. And I believe on Saturday it was the players' fault. Bill Belichick, the great NFL coach, I was listening to him today, he's saying, great players are always responsible for victories. It's always the manager who gets blamed for the losses. And that's correct, because the manager should put the players in a position, well, first of all, train them, get them ready, and put them in the position. I believe he did that. Once again, how much better can we get? 44 shots, dominated possession, created so many opportunities. There were stupid mistakes. First goal, defensive error. Second one, all we had to do is stick to the basics, get rid of the ball. He's a young player, Nelson. It's going to happen. He's going to make mistakes. He's going to be brilliant. Third one, it's just one of those goals. It happens once every 5 seasons. That happened to us. I don't know how Sweet can take the fall for this one. Even Bloomfield, I don't understand. I don't often say that. As long as there's alignment from the top through to the manager, to the players. And I think there is. We're having the performances. We're just not clinical, which will come. And I think, once again, once we get the errors going, we've won 4, we've lost 3. We'll turn that around. And it can happen very quickly. So I don't think the board should get the panic for this and the blame. However, people are going to look at everyone to blame again. We saw that last year. No one unites, nothing unites like victory, but nothing breaks people up like losses. Then it's a free-for-all.
Mark, I suppose your previous losses have come against clubs which, are strong and are, up there with it. This is the first loss against a club that's been struggling, I suppose. So it probably makes people a little bit more angrier, doesn't it? When you look at a team like Plymouth, and who, especially managed by an ex-Watford manager as well, doesn't help.
I just think, like we've said on here, the patience is wearing thin. And does it mean that if we're not going to win, we're going to get booed? Or is it more the performance? And yes, you're playing a team that's won 5 away in 50 games, down to 10 men, and we should have done better. But I just don't get the whole, yes, we've made mistakes in the Championship and trying to stay in the Premier League, but you can't say we haven't been backed with the. I know we're going to talk about transfer window in a moment, but for me, you look at what we've got, and you look at what Sheffield Wednesday have got. You look at some other clubs like Morecambe, who were virtually on the verge of going out of business. We wouldn't have a football club without Gary Sweet in 2020. And yes, we've made mistakes, but it's just easy to. I think we're very short on patience, and it's either going to be all or nothing, and it shouldn't be, because we should just. Yeah, and as long as we're behind the team during the 90 minutes, people are entitled to their opinion. I won't boo, and then I don't care if I'm called a happy clapper. I didn't clap the performance because it didn't deserve it. But it's just and final part on the Saville thing. If he was just being told he's played badly, then he shouldn't be responding like that. But if he's taking personal abuse, nobody should be taking personal abuse, and we don't know what was said, but nobody deserves to be abused personally, and we don't know what was said, but there's no place for it. But if it's just a case of being criticising the performance, then he shouldn't react.
Okay. Cool. Right, let's leave the Plymouth result there. We're looking ahead to Lincoln this weekend, who have only lost 1 game themselves. So this is not going to be not going to be a walk in the park. Transfer window closed. Last time we saw you, it was just slammed shut. So it's just about the right time to get your overall grading on it. 10, Lewis being, couldn't have gone any better. Really happy with it. To 1 being, disaster. Where do you sit?
Well, I've already ranked the summer window on my channel, and I gave it an 8 out of 10. So I'd be contradicting myself if I didn't say 8 out of 10 right now.
Okay.
I think the profile of players has improved. I think the way in previous windows there's been lots of, I would say, more question marks on some of the players which we've signed, whereas this time round I kind of understand where the club's going in terms of a more athletic ball playing style of type of profile in terms of players. You look at the wide players we brought in Kadir and also Morris, very quick players, very comfortable at receiving the ball. You've brought in a bit of experience in your Savills, your Naki Welsh, your Cal Naismiths, and then you brought in some young players as well, like Richards, Nigel Longbike, Joe Bode as well. So you've kind of got like a mix of proven players at this level who have been successful, experienced players, and also young players that have potential to get better. And I feel like on top of that, with the profile of what these players will bring, I feel like it is an 8 out of 10. I still think we could have done with another left-sided defender. I think just to add a bit of depth and a bit more quality down on that left-hand side. And I still have a question mark on the creativity, because if Zach Nelson doesn't provide that, then there's a gap there. I don't mind us giving Zach Nelson the opportunity to show what he can do. But if Zach Nelson can't do it now, when he's got proven League One players around him, experienced players around him, and three strikers at our football club who have been prolific goal scorers at other clubs, then I don't know if Zach Nelson is ever going to do it in a Luton shirt. Maybe this is not the right environment for him. So I've got a question mark on the creative aspect. So that's why I've given it an 8 out of 10.
Okay. Thank you, Lewis. Anyone want to give it higher than 8? No. Anyone want to give it lower than an 8?
Okay.
Go on.
I would give it a 7.5, and the only reason is I think we've got some talented players. I think the players that we got in, we brought in some speed, some intensity. The problem I have, in my opinion, is whether we got the right leadership in. We've lost some great leaders through the window, people like Bell, Berg, Lockyer's obviously not playing, Morris, some great leaders, people who had composure. Yes, we lost it in the last season. We take that, and I think that's why they need to go. But I don't see the same leadership being brought in with the players and the players with composure. Naismith was supposed to be that guy, but right now he's not making the starting 11, which I believe is a problem as well. And I think as long as we get that composure coming through those people, and it'll come, they're a new team, I think that could soar up to 8 and 9. But at this point, 7.5 due to that reason.
Okay. Mark?
I agree with Lewis. When you got to take into account, I mean, in the programme notes, Gary Sweet said that £23.5 million had been exchanged, both coming and going. We've made a profit on that. And if you think about it, we've gone from Premier League to League One in 2 seasons. There had to be a big turnaround, both in terms of salaries and also just like turnaround staff because of the losing mentality we had over a couple of years. And I agree with everything Lewis has said about the players we've brought in. We're still to see Al Hamadi come in. He'll be a great signing. And I think we've signed bags of potential. And with all the wide players we've signed, then maybe that's what Matt's trying to do, is to change the philosophy, how we play at the back. And you've got the experience of Saville. I think we've probably got one of the best keepers in the league. So, yeah, 8 out of 10. Like I said, maybe weak on the left-hand side if we get injuries. But bear in mind where we were, like when we came down and we had a lot of players to get to release, and we had to get money for them and get replacements in. I don't see how we can complain about the transfer window. It's now up to Matt to work with the players to get the best out of the players to get the results.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Lastly, this week, we're asking club or country if we could offer you the chance for Luton to win this year's FA Cup or watch England lift the World Cup in summer, but you can't have both. Which one would you rather see? Dan? Club or country?
Always club for me. Having watched England through so many tournaments, you kind of feel we're just always going to be the nearly men. So if Luton can just win the FA Cup, because when I started supporting Luton get to the Premier League, it was always a pipe dream, and we were never going to do it at Kenilworth Road, and we've done that. So we can win the FA Cup as well, and I'd rather see that,
Okay. Kevin?
to be honest.
I'm going to change my answer from last time. I'm hoping to be at the World Cup, and how amazing would it be if England actually lifted up in the final at New Jersey in front of 82,000 people? How brilliant would that be?
Okay. I did not expect that answer, but there we go. Mark?
Easiest question you'll ever ask all season, Mark.
Let me guess. You'll be at Wembley. Yeah, watching Luton lift a cup.
I would take Luton knocking Watford out than England winning the World Cup. Forget winning it. It's club every time. It's club that you've got your association with, that you're ingrained into, and thanks for the easiest question of the season.
Okay, Lewis, full house.
Yeah, it's club. You go and watch your club every week, don't you? For the majority of the year, it's kind of like how you live your life. I've even told my partner that we are planning to have a children at this time of the year, because then the baby would come around the summertime, so it doesn't interrupt the football season. So it's all club to me. It's all club.
Good man.
Careful, she might watch this back, and right. Thank you very much, everyone, and good to end on a positive. Right, enjoy your trip to Lincoln. Sorry, muted myself there. Nice ground that, Mark, to visit. We get to the cathedral as well.
Yeah, 12:30 kick-off, so early start.
No, lovely. We'll review the Lincoln game next week. Join us for that. Thank you very much for watching. Drop us a little sub before you go, and we'll see you in 7 days' time. Thanks so much.